Hello. I'm so glad you could join me. So this is an older magazine from October 2020. And this is Midwest Living, which is where I live in the Midwest. And it says make fall count. Pretty appropriate for the time that we were going through in 2020. This is a wreath, a grapevine wreath, and it has marigolds all over it, all the way around, except for a small section over here. Gives it a little bit of interest. We have pumpkins, little pumpkins decorating, a table right here. It says with close to you road trips, beans gone bold, inspo for buying local, and a prairie art tour from home. Let's see, inside I have some advertisements. This one is for Color Snap by Sherwin-Williams. This magazine has seen better days, but that's okay. Contents. We have beans, a pantry staple now more than ever. Beans are healthy, cheap, and quarantine-proof. Use those pintos, garbanzos, and kidneys in our new globally inspired recipes. Rooted in place, Meander, a self-guided art crawl in western Minnesota, brings visitors into studios and makeshift galleries to meet artists who choose to work and live on the prairie. Are we there yet? The last thing your sheltered-in-place soul craves right now is screen time in the car. We've got time-tested ideas for filling every mile and a trivia game to play right now. Taking shape, designer Sarah Sherman Samuel's Michigan home is a minimalist play on white and wood, arches and squares, with a bold stroke of mossy green. Then there's In Every Issues. And here's some folks looking like they're having fun out in North Dakota, where you can be legendary. Here she talks about time during the pandemic, which we're going to skip. Togetherness. We were all quite together during the pandemic, weren't we? Be inspired in Missouri. Looks like these folks are dressed up in old period costuming. Home and garden. We have employee Hannah Bain hangs with Vicki and Brooke Rollins at their Wisconsin shop, Sister Golden. Fleeting Beauty. At Sister Golden in Door County, Wisconsin, mother and daughter Vicki and Brooke Rollins sell home decor and prints of Vicki's arts. No originals, though. Here's why. Using scissors and tweezers, Vicki arranges foliage and blooms into intricate scenes, such as to the right. Perfection isn't the goal. If a rogue ladybug happens to knock a petal askew, that's part of the charm. She snaps a photo and then it all goes back outside. To me, they represent how fragile and yet resilient life is, Vicki says. New life is created and then gives back to the never-ending cycle of growth and rebirth. sistergolden.com. Here we have what I would call charcuterie boards, bird's eye maple or walnut. Pine for me, no cabin, no problem. These iron pine cone wind chimes will evoke up north vibes on breezy fall evenings, even in the suburbs. The large chime measures 22 inches long. The smaller is 19, from $20, ironaccents.com. Paradise Galley. With a palette of calm colors and a stroke of layout liberation, Chicago designer Steph Fleming reimagined a dark and awkwardly divided kitchen. So here we have some gray upper cabinets, and then the bottom looks like kind of a grayish washed wood grain cabinetry underneath. In the center we have a pedestal table of kind of a muted blue and white. Then we have some white or light tan colored chairs. Here we have St. Joseph, Missouri. Yes, we're really that different. Fall scene, downtown. More of a modern looking building there, a historic mansion. Here we have a little sideboard that's got a mirror behind it. Our glasses stored. There are liquors there and wine here. More glasses above. There's a longer view than we just looked at. Range hood with some gold detailing. And you have pendant lights that are white and gold. An island with stools. Bookshelf. It's nice. And here it shows the before, which it does look like an older 80s kitchen, I would say. And it's all very small and closed in, so they use the entire space this way to fill the kitchen in. It's very pretty. It says, I always came back to a beautiful mid-tone gray. It dresses up these cabinets and would look just as good in a powder room or on family room built-ins. Here we have that wreath from the front. It says, all in the family. The 1960s, David Burpee, yep, the seed guy, campaigned for marigolds to be our national flower. He lost out to rose enthusiasts, but marigolds remain a fixture in American backyards, and you've got dozens to choose from. This one is called Strawberry Blonde. This French marigold morphs from yellow-pink to pink plum or straw yellow in fall. Another chameleon, Fireball, ages from red to orange, bronze, and gold. This one is Bonanza Bee. For high drama, mix this dwarf-crested French variety in a border with other Bonanza marigolds in yellow and gold red. It's just 10 to 12 inches, so plant in front. Vanilla. Not all marigolds set the garden aflame. This creamy stunner grows quite large, reaching 24 inches. Other white options, Snowball and Kilimanjaro White. Marvel 2. Showy pom-pom style, African-type varieties pop in containers and borders. The Marvel series has giant double blooms and taller stems reaching 18 inches. Did you know? Marigolds have long stood for abundance and spirituality. Aztecs believed they had magical or medicinal powers. Early Christians left Mary's gold on altars in lieu of coins. Marigold garlands hang at Hindu weddings and Diwali celebrations. They also decorate Dia de los Muertos ofrendas in Mexican homes. All in all, not bad for $1.99 annual. Well, I can tell you they're more expensive than that now because of all of the inflation. Salvaging seeds. In October, harvest from this year's marigolds for next spring's garden. Most marigolds are eager volunteers, so if you let spent blooms fall, you can expect some sprouts next spring. Or be more deliberate. After the first frost, snip the brown flower heads and let them dry on a paper plate for a week or more. Harvest. Rub the hulls between your fingers to release the thin black seeds. Save them in a labeled envelope or glass jar. Plant. Start seeds indoors or outdoors after last frost, planting 1 inch apart and no more than 1 inch deep. Note: seeds gathered from heirloom varieties will produce carbon copies of their parents, while those of hybrids will likely vary. All-purpose flour. Yes, you can eat some marigolds, if grown chemical-free. Their flavor evokes tarragon or citrus. Scatter petals from signet marigolds, such as lemon star, above, as a garnish on salads or desserts. You can also mix them with herbs for a cheese board or chop them into egg salad. The Kansas experience is a salute to the real. Here we have a bike shop. Good neighbors. Midwest living. Different spokes. Dream Bikes may look like an average bike store, but the work happening inside goes beyond repairing two-wheel rides. This Wisconsin-based nonprofit, with Midwest shops in Madison and Milwaukee, provides on-the-job training for underprivileged teens, teaching them how to refurbish and resell gently used bicycles. Since its inception in 2008, Dream Bikes has returned more than 10,000 bikes to the community and kicked up a little you can do anything magic dust in the process. The struggles of a pandemic and social injustice in the world support our realization that our drive to educate and empower is more important than ever, says Matthew Martinez, branch manager, dreambikes.org. There's a bedside reed called Rust. Adios Jitters. Oh, dandelion tea. Oh, here we have a Say Spa. Purifying mask. Circulation soak. Marble roller. Candles. Amazing. Watercolors. Petoskey area. It's in Michigan. Sewing lessons. In the heart of corn country, an Omaha business teacher is on a mission to preserve Indigenous farming practices for future generations. For Taylor Keene, corn represents his heritage as a member of the Omaha tribe in Nebraska and the Cherokee Nation in Oklahoma. Memories in his grandmother's garden, and now his calling as a keeper of Indigenous crops through an educational nonprofit called Sacred Seed. This is an interview with Robin Pfeiffer. How does a Creighton University business instructor get into corn? It all started in my Cherokee grandmother's garden. Digging in the hardscrabble Oklahoma soil isn't the most pleasant experience, but it sustained us. I started to pine for it again and the lessons I learned there. And those lessons transformed into the creation of sacred seed. Cherokee nations normally get their identities from their mother's side. I identify with my grandmother's clan, Wild Potato. They take care of the plant world. I thought farming was a white man thing. I was well versed in white man's education, but I didn't know a lot about my people's ways. Forming Sacred Seed helped me piece together insights into tribal agricultural lifeway systems. You see corn as living history. All tribes have a story about Mother Corn. All tribes have revered it. It went from being used in ceremony to being used by everyone. Sale of excess corn helped support the tribes. That's why I'm surprised when people tell me, "You can't eat Indian corn." All corn is Indian corn. Sacred Seed's work of planting and sharing heirloom varieties using traditional methods happen in plots across Omaha by those who truly love the seeds. We saw a world that has once been, and we can do it again. There must be a learning curve. I had to figure everything out. A student found an 1800s seed catalog with pictures showing how crops were threshed and harvested. Through a contact in Iowa, I learned about a similar back to the land movement, traditional no-till Jewish farming. You're covered in sweat, your clothing is stained from the soil, but doing it by hand feels organic and good. What are obstacles you faced? Raccoons. The night before we were going to harvest, we had 6 or 7 plots that got clobbered. We planted the corn in rows, which the raccoons ran through like linebackers. They knocked down everything except 2 plots that used the Three Sisters methodology. When planted together, corn, beans, and squash protect each other from predators like raccoons. Sunflowers planted around the perimeter cut the wind. They didn't touch them. What have you learned about yourself throughout this process? The corn is healing me. It's so much hard work, but we just bust our butts all the time. But it leads to these moments of elation that come when we harvest. No matter what's happening in the world, I can put my head down in the plants, and it's going to be all right. Even if it's just a salsa garden on your back porch, grow it. Open your heart. Learn from the plants. They are always there for us. Traveling increased quite a lot after the pandemic, as we were all tired of being cooped up, weren't we? Let's see, this is the Forge Lamont Quarries, just southwest of Chicago. This is North America's largest aerial adventure course, but the park also has overwater zip lines, kayak and paddleboat rentals, a kids zone, and trails for mountain biking and walking. Let's see, day trip, patch it up. After months of staying home, even a small change in scenery can reset your mood. In other words, this is definitely not the year to buy your pumpkin from a cardboard box at the supermarket. Instead, visit a favorite local patch or orchard and keep your eyes on Instagram. Your friends might be sharing a hidden gem farm stand you've never heard of. Oh my goodness, we're going to have to cover this one because John K. King used in rare books. I do love the books. Your local bookshop might seem quaint or charming. a throwback to a simpler time. But don't be fooled. Independent booksellers are a scrappy army of Davids, taking on a foe they see as Goliath, and they're not doing it quietly. Danny Kane, owner of the Raven Bookstore in Lawrence, Kansas, drew attention last fall. In October, fresh off being named Seller of the Year by the Midwest Independent Booksellers Association, he fired off a tweet that put billionaire Amazon founder Jeff Bezos on blast for cheapening literature. If we sold all of our books at that discount, everything in the store, we'd be out of business in 6 days, Kane says now, describing the impetus behind his impromptu manifesto. It's a large-scale experiment that devalues books. That makes it a lot harder for authors to get paid. We don't want a world where only privileged people can be writers. The tweet galvanized other booksellers, and it's a challenge to the rest of us, a pointed reminder that our purchases are a vote for what we value. When you buy from an independent bookstore, you get more than just a book. Indie shops champion diverse voices and provide personalized recommendations based on conversations, not an algorithm. They're social hubs and gathering places, even as a pandemic redefines how we connect with each other. By keeping their business models nimble and their feet firmly planted in their communities, Midwest entrepreneurs are adapting and advancing the neighborhood bookstore experience for its next incarnation. Specialty stores across the Midwest. We have some niche stores focused on specific genres. You'll find owners with deep expertise and passion. Here are a few standouts. Get your mystery fix at Once Upon a Crime in Minneapolis. Just pick your poison: thrillers, action, police procedurals, cozies, or classic detective novels. In Detroit, Source booksellers focus on nonfiction with an emphasis on history, culture, arts, metaphysics, spirituality, and health, as well as titles by and for women. Near Cleveland, enormous Loganberry Books carries rare, used, and new titles with particular expertise in women's history and lit, leather-bound and first editions, and tracking down old children's books. A Room of One's Own in Madison, Wisconsin focuses on amplifying underrepresented voices. We try to be an intersectional bookstore, says co-owner Gretchen True. We started as a feminist bookstore in the 70s, and now our big focus is LGBT and anti-racist titles, and just the voices of people of color more generally. Bookstores are a community-based operation, says Janet Webster Jones, founder of Detroit's Source Booksellers. We're embedded in the community, and we serve the community. There she is with her smile. We have Prairie Lights in Iowa City, Semicolon Bookstore and Gallery in Chicago, the Book Loft of German Village, Columbus, Ohio, John K. King Used and Rare Books in Detroit. That's the one we saw over there. Red Balloon Bookshop in St. Paul. We have some more vacation advertisements. Marquee, Michigan. That's pretty. South Dakota. Mount Rushmore. Minnesota. The beat goes on. In Bloomington, Indiana, a diverse music scene provides a soundtrack to a fall weekend of hiking, global eats, and, if you choose to accept the challenge, a sweet, self-guided bakery tour. What's neat? Indiana University and Kirkwood Avenue. It's beautiful, the colors. fall getaways. Ooh. Some beautiful pictures of food. Let's see. Sweet potato with Moroccan chickpeas. Like chili on a baked potato, except so much more alluring. Split before roasting, the potatoes get a caramel sheen on their open faces. The chickpeas, also cooked in the oven for crispy skins, are spiced with cinnamon, cloves, and chili. Tie it all together with lemon tahini dressing, fresh mint, and dreams of far-off places. Looks pretty yummy, huh? Sweet potatoes and chickpeas. Here we have red lentil dal with zucchini. A staple on the Indian subcontinent, dal spans a whole category of bean dishes. It sometimes has a loose texture, but this version, thick like a stew and bolstered with zucchini, satisfies as a meat-free meal. Serve over rice with jalapeno, cilantro, and sneaky move, spiced onions set aside during the first step of cooking. It's yummy. Speed demon. Most dry beans require a long soak and simmer, so their fast-cooking cousins, lentils, are a weeknight savior. They taste earthier than other legumes, the botanical term for the bean, pea, lentil family. Here we have beans on toast with fried egg. We channeled our coziest British pub vibes into this rib sticker of a recipe. A raft of buttered toast, bacony stovetop baked beans, a fried egg and skillet blistered tomatoes, hot coffee or a pint of dry cider, your call. Either way, it'll go down a treat on a blustery fall day. Oh, can't wait to get a blustery fall day. It's been hot and dry. Power pack. 2 centuries ago, sailors' diets heavily featured the small white legumes we today call navy beans, a testament to their frugal filling power. All beans are loaded with fiber, protein, and minerals. Chili ginger mung bean soup. You probably know mung beans by their sprouts, a regular at salad bars or on takeout pad thai. But don't overlook the plant seeds. Petite beans with a toothsome texture and earthy flavor. They're sold dry and simmer right in the broth of this deliciously sinus-clearing soup, along with rice noodles, shiitake mushrooms, and bok choy. Here we have trade deals. Some legumes have distinct personalities. Looking at you, chickpeas. But if you favor the heartier texture of kidney or cannellini beans over smaller pinto navy or black beans, swap away. Bean soup. This one is smoky beef, black bean, and corn chili. This hands-off slow cooker recipe has just a pound of ground beef and a can of stock. All the rest of the heft and taste comes from black beans, fire-roasted tomatoes, smoked paprika, chipotle peppers, and corn tortillas, which melt into the chili for body and a layer of corn flavor. And here we have calico chowder. If you have partial bags of dried beans loitering in the pantry, throw them all in the pot, along with potato and butternut squash, to make this anything goes fall soup. You can also buy a bag of mixed beans at the store. Perfumed with thyme and sage, it's creamy, homey, and gratifyingly resourceful. Here we have some fish. Halibut with garlicky beans, Seared halibut buddies up with a brothy medley of white beans, grape tomatoes, and spinach. For deep garlic flavor without turning on the oven to roast, this recipe uses a technique called confit, which translates as simmering slowly in fat or oil. The result? Evenly soft, mellow cloves and a bonus gift of flavorful olive oil you can use in this dish or elsewhere. It looks delicious. This one is called a shortcut cassoulet, a classic country French dish. Cassoulet is a meat lover's fantasy that's heavy on the beans, because why not use all the proteins? Our version calls for boneless chicken thighs, kielbasa, and bacon. Blanket the casserole in crispy breadcrumbs and serve with both red wine and an elastic waistband. mm. Rooted in place. A band of Minnesota artists find community in solitude, kinship in history, and an unlikely muse in the plain-spoken beauty of the countryside. It says Andy Kamen. He has A to Z letterpress in Minnesota. Here we have Melina Handine printing. At Easy Bean Farm in Milan, paintings fill a studio gallery called the Loose Tooth Saloon of Art. Little cabin. There's another. This one is Bradley Hall block printing. Printmaker Bradley Hall, who lives and works in a restored Granite Falls church, credits Andy Kamen for introducing him to linoleum block carving. We have an old church near us that has been repurposed for selling things, and the windows inside are just beautiful like that. Here we have John George Larson ceramics. Different little, it's like vases, cups. Audrey Arner and Richard Handine painting and potting. At Moonstone Farm in Montevideo, Audrey Arner paints vibrant mandala-like decorative stars. Her husband Richard Handine throws pottery. We have Lucy and Jean Tokheim pottery. A shop that's open year-round, Tokheim Stoneware in Dawson is one of the tour's busiest stops. Ceramics. If I had more places for it in my home, I would love to have more ceramics. Are we there yet? Bringing back the road trip unplugged. Oh, you are brave, brave. Decision made. You're hitting the road. Hooray! But the last thing your sheltered-in-place soul craves right now is screen time in the car. Our suggestion: stow the phones, bust out a game, pack a picnic, and savor every mile. You've got game. These classics always win, whether you've got kids in the back seat or just have run out of conversation with your co-pilot after hanging out together at home since March. Roy G. Biv. Watch for vehicles of each color in the rainbow in order, starting with red and ending with violet. Beware, this sounds simple, but orange and yellow will trip you up, and plan for spirited debate on what constitutes indigo. Grandma's Attic. The first player says, "In my grandma's attic I found," and names an object starting with an A, such as armadillo. The next player adds a B word. We do a game, well, I used to with my friends. I think I've done it once with my kids on a trip, where you look for signs as you're going along, so billboards or signs, and you have to find the letters in order of the alphabet. So you have to keep going until you find one that has those letters, and you start to figure out which ones are not as abundant on all the signs that you go by. Geography. To start, a player names a city, state, or country. The next player must name a city, state, or country beginning with the last letter of the previous place. For example, Missouri ends in I, Iceland starts with an I, ends in a D, Darfur ends with an R, Rockford starts with the R. You'll quickly learn that a lot of places that begin with A also end with A. Hint, Appleton will break the chain. 20 questions. One player picks a secret object and announces if it's animal, vegetable, plant-based, or mineral, anything else. The other players take turns asking strategic yes-no questions to home in on the answer, aiming to guess within 20 questions. Animals are definitely easiest, so limit to that category if playing with small kids. 81%. The number of respondents who say travel is one of the things they're most excited to do again. An ode to the back road. With apologies to Midwest native son, Dwight D. Eisenhower, the interstate highway system is a snore. Speeding along monotonously at 70 miles per hour might get you somewhere quick, but you see nothing of the land you're traversing. Towns are reduced to names on signs, farms to distant cattle. For the cost of arriving a little later, slip off for a spell onto two-lane highways. You'll see historic main streets, pumpkin patches, homes, diners, maybe an Amish buggy or a blue heron in a pond. You'll feel the road climb and dip. You'll actually spot things to talk about. It may take longer, but what's that they say about the journey being the destination? I agree, we oftentimes will get off the highway because we're tired of being on it. In praise of map reading. We do occasionally because just when you're looking for something in particular, Google Maps will steer you wrong. We've had it happen more than once. A Los Angeles designer ditches the big city for a woodsy Michigan fixer-upper, reimagining both the home and her family's lifestyle. Very minimalist, an arch here, white paint throughout, wood planked ceiling. Trees are quite colorful outside though. Beautiful. Here we have more white, accents of gold, muted tans and browns. I just couldn't do that. I like a little more color in my home. This green bunk bed. More white and gold and browns. Here we are on to more food. Cheesy rosemary and pecan snack mix. In a large bowl, combine 3 cups pecan halves, 2 cups each oyster crackers and square white cheddar cheese crackers, 1½ cups freshly grated Parmesan, 1 cup pumpkin seeds, 2 tablespoons each, packed brown sugar and chopped fresh rosemary, 2 teaspoons crushed red pepper, and 4 cloves minced garlic. Drizzle in 1/2 cup melted butter, stir gently to coat. Spread on large foil-lined rimmed baking sheet. Bake at 300 degrees Fahrenheit for 15 minutes. Toss, then bake 15 minutes more. Let cool, then store in an airtight container. It lasts a week, we've heard. Desserts. Zest wishes. Last year, line cooks at Hell's Kitchen griddled about 1,748 lemon ricotta hotcake orders each month. The popular dish has been known to convert lemon skeptics. That's surprising because with 4 tablespoons of zest in each batch, the citrus flavor isn't exactly shy, but then neither is the restaurant. Mitch Omer, his wife Cynthia Gerds, and Steve Meyer opened Hell's Kitchen in 2002, attracting instant attention for the darkly funny decor and name. No relation to Gordon Ramsay. The restaurant also became known for its employment practices. For example, thanks in part to leadership advancement opportunities, Hell's Kitchen boasts one of the lowest turnover rates in the biz. Like some of the team, the hotcakes have been around since the start. Omer, who passed away in 2015, came up with the recipe in the 1980s, way before the restaurant was even dreamed of, says Gerds. More thin than fluffy, they are quite different from a typical diner-style pancake, but don't be fooled by their diminutive height. Whole milk ricotta and a high egg-to-flour ratio make for a luxe and, dare we say, wickedly rich dish. Sounds delicious. Oh, and here's the recipe. Lemon ricotta hotcakes. Place 6 egg whites in the bowl of a stand mixer fitted with a whisk attachment. Beat on high speed until stiff peaks form. Reduce speed to low. Slowly add 9 egg yolks, followed by 1/3 cup melted unsalted butter. Stop the mixer to add 1 cup whole milk ricotta, 1/2 cup granulated sugar, 1/4 cup lemon zest, 1 tablespoon lemon juice, and 1 teaspoon kosher salt. Beat on medium speed for 1 minute, reduce speed to low, and gradually add 1/3 cup flour. Stop the mixer to scrape bowl, then beat 1 minute more. For best results, refrigerate at least 1 hour or up to 3 days. To cook, melt butter in a large skillet or griddle over medium-low. Ladle batter onto hot skillet in 1/4 cup portions. Cook until butters appear and bottoms are golden brown, about 2 minutes. Flip hotcakes and cook 1 minute more. Remove from skillet, repeat. Serve with fresh fruit, powdered sugar, and real maple syrup. Makes 18. Here we are, a travel guide. It looks like we have more foods. There's some mixed drinks. And then the rest is recipes. I hope you enjoyed this little look into a magazine, Midwest Living. Let me know if you'd like to see more magazines. I kind of enjoy doing this. It's kind of relaxing, be able to just hang out on my bed here, flip through a magazine with you. Leave me a comment, like and subscribe. Appreciate you being here. As always, I hope you're taking care of yourself. Make sure you go visit a pumpkin patch and sleep well.